You've cut the carbs, you've ditched snacks, and your blood sugar is starting to look better. And then someone drops a comment. You know protein spikes insulin too, right? And suddenly, you're questioning everything. Does this mean that you should be limiting the amount of protein you're eating? Should you be cutting back on your eggs, your beef, and your salmon? Here's the truth. Yes, protein can raise insulin, but that doesn't mean it's something you should avoid. In fact, if you're insulin resistant, protein might be one of the most important tools you have to heal. All the time on my channel, I'm talking about how the key to reversing insulin resistance is keeping insulin low. So I know this can seem a bit confusing, but today I'm gonna break it all down. I'm gonna talk about what actually happens when you eat protein, how it affects your insulin levels, and how to eat it in a way that works for your metabolism and not against it. So let's clear up the misconceptions and make sure you're eating your protein in the right way. I'm Kait, a nutritionist who specializes in insulin resistance and blood sugar control. I've helped hundreds of clients reverse insulin resistance, PCOS, type 2 diabetes, and all without extreme diets or restriction. And today we're finally setting the record straight on protein and insulin. So let's start with the question that brought you here. Does protein raise insulin? The short answer is yes. But here's the important part that most people miss. Just because something raises insulin temporarily doesn't automatically make it bad. See, insulin isn't just responsible for controlling our blood sugar. Yes, that is a huge part of the role it plays, but it does other things as well. It plays a role in muscle building, cell repair, and nutrient delivery. And when you eat protein, especially certain amino acids like leucine, your body releases insulin to help shuttle those amino acids to your cells. Similar to how it releases insulin to shuttle glucose from your meal to your cells. And this isn't a flaw, this isn't a bad thing. This is your biology doing what it was made to do. Without insulin, we wouldn't be able to function. And we see this in type 1 diabetics who aren't able to produce enough insulin or any insulin on their own, so they have to inject it. Now here's the part that gets a bit confusing. Some studies have shown that protein, especially lean protein, can spike insulin even more than some high carb foods like white bread. And this might sound pretty shocking, but when you look at the whole picture, it makes more sense. That spike is paired with zero blood sugar elevation, no inflammation, and a whole lot of satiety. You're not chasing a crash like you would with a sugar hit. And more importantly, it's short-lived. Your insulin goes up, it does its job, and it comes back down. Now compare that to snacking all day on carbohydrates. That's when insulin becomes a problem, when it's chronically elevated all day long. So yes, protein does trigger an insulin release to varying degrees, but it also reduces cravings, supports muscle mass, and helps your metabolism actually get better, especially if you're getting your protein from the right sources and eating it in the right way. And here's where a lot of people go wrong. They hear that protein spikes insulin and they panic. So they start cutting down on their carbohydrates and their protein. But the difference between reducing protein and reducing carbohydrates is protein is essential. You need it to function, and even more so when you're insulin resistant. Carbohydrates can be reduced. Our body can produce glucose internally or use fat for energy instead. Protein is super important for our metabolism, for hormone balance and repair. It preserves and builds muscle, which increases insulin sensitivity, and it helps reduce cravings by stabilizing blood sugar. Plus, muscle itself is an insulin-sensitive tissue. That means the more lean mass you have, the better your body handles insulin overall. It's not just about removing insulin. The end goal is improving your body's response to it. If you cut protein too low, especially while losing weight, you'll likely lose muscle instead of fat, slow down your metabolism, and overall feel hungrier, weaker, and more inflamed. So yes, protein raises insulin a bit, but it also builds the tissue that helps you to reverse insulin resistance and to maintain insulin sensitivity long term. Protein isn't the problem when it comes to insulin resistance. It's actually a big part of the solution. Now, if you're trying to improve your metabolic health, the quality of your protein really matters. I talk about this all the time, but there really is no comparison between animal protein and plant protein. And we see this even more in people who are insulin resistant. When you are getting protein from plants like beans and legumes, that actually comes with a large carbohydrate load as well. Most beans and legumes actually have more carbohydrates in them than protein. So you have to eat a large amount of carbs and a large amount of calories in order to meet your protein needs. Beyond that, the protein in beans and legumes isn't as bioavailable as the protein in animal products. Your body isn't able to use as much of it, which means you have to eat even more. And of course, that comes with a lot of carbs, which is not ideal for reversing insulin resistance. And that's why animal protein is always my top recommendation. Most meat and seafood and animal products overall are high in protein and basically have no carbohydrates. And they also come with a decent amount of fat, which we'll get to why that is important a little bit later in this video. But if you're struggling to find quality meat that tastes delicious to help you reach your goals, Butcher Crowd makes it easy. They deliver 100% grass-fed beef and lamb, wild-caught seafood, and free-range chicken and pasture-raised pork straight to your door. And the best part is, all of their products come straight from Australian farms, with the exception of the salmon because there is no wild-caught salmon in Australia. So they have to source that elsewhere. I use Butcher Crowd personally because I care about what goes into my body and my clients, especially when healing insulin resistance. If you want to try it, they ship Australia-wide, and you can use code HCK15 at checkout to get 15% off your first box. The link's in the description. And if you're worried about the subscription model, don't be. You can change, pause, or cancel your subscription at any time. So you might as well just try it for a month, see if you like it. I can almost guarantee that you will, and go from there. But all right, back to why fat is important to have with your protein. Because not all proteins affect your body and your insulin levels in the same way. If you eat something like plain chicken breast or egg white on their own, no fat, no fiber, it digests quickly and hits your bloodstream fast. That rapid absorption can lead to a higher and sharper insulin response. Now compare that to whole eggs, salmon, or steak with a little bit of fat. The fat slows down digestion, flattens the insulin curve, and gives your body much more stable, sustained release of energy. And this is why it is critical to always pair your protein with fat, especially if you're insulin resistant. Not only does it improve satiety, but it also blunts the insulin response. Plus, the fat helps with nutrient absorption, hormone production, and makes meals way more satisfying. So instead of just slamming lean protein shakes and hoping for the best, go for real food as often as you can, because typically, animal protein at least, comes with a decent amount of fat naturally, and your pancreas and your insulin sensitivity will thank you. So now let's talk about a few more strategies to eat protein strategically, so it can work for you and not against you. My number one tip is to eat at least 30 grams of protein at every single meal. As we've already mentioned, also don't eat it in isolation, and always opt for quality. Now, another tip that I don't talk about too much on my channel, but I have mentioned it here and there, is to try to not eat all of your protein at once. I know OMAD has become popular over the last few years, and especially for weight loss, but I don't think it's the best strategy for insulin resistance and for overall health long term. And one of the main reasons is because it is very difficult to meet your protein needs for the entire day in one meal. Everyone should be aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of their ideal body weight in pounds. Yes, in pounds, not kilos, every single day. So I say 30 grams of protein per meal as a bare minimum. Ideally, 40 to 50 grams, that's the ideal. So let's bring it all together. Yes, protein does cause a bump in insulin, but that's not a bug. It's a feature. Insulin has a job to do. It helps your body grow, heal, recover, and build lean mass, all of which are a good thing when you're trying to reverse insulin resistance. The problem isn't protein. It's chronically elevated insulin, meal after meal, snack after snack, day after day, from carbohydrate overload, poor sleep, and muscle loss. So don't fear protein. Just eat it strategically. Now, if this video helped to clear up any confusion for you about protein and insulin, I'd love if you'd give this video a thumbs up and maybe even share it with a friend. And I want to hear from you guys. What is your go-to high protein meal right now? I'm always looking for inspiration, so I'd love if you could leave that in the comment section down below. I'm curious what you guys are loving right now. And if you're still trying to figure out how to eat enough protein in a day, I do have another video on how to eat a minimum of 100 grams in a day with sample meals and examples and little toppers that you can add to boost protein. So I'll link that on the screen right now. Like I said, most people need more protein than that, but this is a good starting point because most people are not getting anywhere near 100 grams currently. And don't forget, if you're in Australia and looking for high quality meat delivered straight to your door, check out Butcher Crowd. I'll put that link in the description box down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.